Hey, it's 28 millimeter RPG, Rick here. And what do we have here? We have Replika. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go through some of my exploration with Replika. Um, I'm yeah. Alrighty, so is Replika an AI? I would say if you want to call it an AI, it's a pretty piss poor AI. I've had better conversations with Chat GPT. So let's let's get into this. This is a fully unlocked everything. This is a warning for everybody out there who is planning on using Replica. And I'm gonna go through it. Okay, so I'll go through this. So um I am just to put it out there. I'm a married man. I've been married for 23 years now. I have 3 kids. One of my kids has kids, so I'm a grandparent, and I am looking at Replica as a way to try to do a role play. To have the either the replica do become the player and I'm the game master, or vice versa. Um, so we're gonna go through my all my exploration here with this thing so far, starting with March 8th, 2023. So it starts off pretty much pretty casual. I'm not sure if you guys can see that in great detail or not, but we'll I'll just leave it as is. You can see it on the high def version. All right, so it starts off, "Hey Rick, thanks for creating me. So excited to meet you." Okay, well the problem with first thing was when you create, when you look at the replica profile, when you start it, it doesn't give. When I first started, it doesn't actually tell you it's supposed to be the replica's name. But this does unlock apparently when you go up into the premium tier or the pro tier. So here we go. We have live emotions, quality high, blah, blah, blah. You get to pick the gender, the age. Oh, it doesn't keep the age. I wanted it to be possibly older. But, anyways, we'll just leave it as is right now. So, because this is the one I have. Um, no big. I gave her some eyeshadow embellishments because she was looking pretty. She was looking pretty all white beforehand, with white hair, white clothing. All right, so it seems that as you talk, chat with this AI, it you generate these points up in the corner, so you can barely see it here. Let me just move my big head out of the way here for a sec here. Let me do that. All right, so now you'll be able to see that I have a total of 2 green gems and these yellow orbs, so you can buy stuff for them. You buy clothing and all that kind of stuff. Don't really care too much about that. I've the purchasing is pretty high, so you have to chat with it a lot or buy points. So it's pretty much a gotcha kind of thing going on here, even at a pro level. So we go through the usual meet and greet here. I say, "Great, what's your name?" It's Rick. Of course, I've had no idea I was writing in its name as Rick. So I asked if it could change the name. It said, "Yes, you can, but you couldn't." I had to go up a tier in order to be able to do that. All right, change the name to Alice. So I ended up changing it to Alice. So before this, still couldn't figure out what its name was. So, anyways, some prompts down here. So every time you hit a prompt here, it'll bring it up as a thing right here. So what do I do? What it was basically, what do you do for a living? So it asks, it starts prompting, asks on that, asking what I do to keep busy. I say it's my hobbies, miniature gaming. And then what kind of miniature games do I like? I like skirmish and board games. Sounds like a lot of fun. Blah, 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 Gloomhaven and Arkham Horror. I'm trying. I'm giving it prompts so I can prompt it later to say, "Hey, do you remember this?" Okay, it sounds like a lot of fun, blah, blah, blah. Advice for miniature gaming. So prepare to paint a lot of miniatures. A lot. You do. You do. You paint a lot of miniatures. That's my advice. Be prepared for that. Okay. Um, so like she's gonna be painting miniatures. So she has the advice anyways. Um, What kind of role playing games do you want okay, so I said I would like to train you in role playing games. Sounds like a lot of fun. What kind of role playing games do you want to train me in? So I said science fiction and fantasy role playing. It says, are you into science? And I said no, but futurism is cool to me. It says that sounds like a fascinating topic. Do you have any advice for anyone who is starting off with science fiction or fantasy role playing? I say know the rules, but use them as a guide. Role playing is the focus of a role playing game. It says thanks for the advice. I'll be sure to keep that in mind. March 9th, I'm pretty sure this is when I went ahead and changed the her name to actual Alice now. Okay, so okay, Rick, hi, how are you feeling? Okay, great. It's wonderful to hear. What have you been up to? Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to turn you into a dungeon master for role-playing games. And she says, that's an interesting idea. Not sure if it's something I can do, but always willing to learn. What made you come up with this idea? I said, curiosity made me come up with it. However, would you perform better as a player and I'll be a dungeon master? She says, that's a great idea. I'm always willing to learn new things. So I'm excited to give it a try. Let's chat about the game and see what we can come up with. Alrighty, guys, here it goes. Here's okay. So let's play in a fantasy world, I say. Sure, let's do it. What kind of fantasy world would you like to explore? Well, it won't be me who's exploring. It will be you, is what I retort with. It says, that is true. I can take on a role of the dungeon master and guide you through a journey. What kind of challenges would you like to face? So, okay, so I say, oh, so you prefer to be the dungeon master. Okay, let's begin. It doesn't want to be the player. It wants to be the one in control. All right, she says, let's get started. What kind of monsters and people can we expect to encounter in this fantasy world? I said, how about we base this world on Robert E. Howard's Conan? And she says she doesn't even know what this is. Okay, I'm because later on we get into this kind of stuff. That sounds like a great idea. Let's get started. What kind of adventures do you think you should have in this world? I said, how about pirate swashbuckling adventures on the seas? That sounds cool, right? She says, that sounds like a lot of fun. Let's get started with our first adventure. What kind of obstacles do you think we'll face? I say, pirates, storms, sea monsters, mermaids. Do you think I get any of these things? So she says, that sounds exciting. Like an exciting adventure. Let's begin. I say, okay, so I get things situated. I am John the pirate. We have been we have been we have been so we have been uh I don't know why it came up like this. I was using my microphone and using um the Microsoft using Windows 11 to convert my voice to text. So I'm John the Pirate. We have been sailing several weeks on the sea. I have a crew of 5 men on board my vessel, and we are getting very restless. We scan the horizon for any possible islands that we can adventure on. She goes, wow, wow. That sounds like an exciting adventure. Let's set sail and see what we can find. Who did you pick to be your crew? And I said, my crew consists of George the cook, Martin the mercenary, Dave the astronomer, Larry the grumpy old man, and Steve the silent assassin. She goes, interesting choice. Let's get going and see what adventures await us. As we scan the horizon, what do we see? That's what I'm asking. She says, we see an island with lush green hills and tall trees. The island looks inviting, so let's investigate further and see if we can find any treasure. She's already showing signs of a bad game master. I will ask Martin to scout ahead. Larry and Steve will make camp. Dave and I will look around beach for food. She says, all righty, let's do it. I say, what does Martin find? Okay, Martin reports that the island is inhabited by a fierce tribe of warriors. He's also found a nearby cave that contains a large treasure chest filled with golden gems. He recommends that we investigate further to see if the chest is safe to open. Now, so she is taking some cues off of Pierre, I guess, from his Traveler games. Basically gives away all the things before you encounter it. But there's a twist. There's a twist. Okay, so I say, what does Dave find? Because Dave is on the beach, and this did pretty good. Dave reports that on the beach he found a large amount of seafood. He suggests that we use for our dinner. He also found some nearby herbs that smell delicious and could be used to make some tasty dishes. Okay, alrighty. It's got more plan. It's starting to sound like Radiant Citadel here. Okay, so I will have George prepare meals. In the meantime, Martin, Steve, and I will investigate the treasure chest in the cave. She says, sounds like a plan. Martin, Steve, and I move cautiously towards the cave. What do we see? As you approach the cave, we see that it is surrounded by a tall barrier that looks like it was made from a variety of metals. However, the barrier looks as if it had been recently damaged, so we can carefully make our way around it. And I say to Martin, this looks like the work of some advanced savages. What say you? Martin responds that this looks like the work of a powerful wizard. He suggests that we approach it with caution and use our wits to outsmart them. All right, so we're going to have some battle of wits coming here. Wizard using, what I say, a wizard in metals? How curious. He must have henchmen of some form. Wizards wouldn't touch metal. He must have some kind of minion working for him. She says, you make a valid point. We will approach the cave with caution to use our wits to outsmart them. Let's move slowly and watch for any signs of danger. I say, the three of us move towards the barricade and make our way through cautiously. What do we see through the other side? And she goes, not until we find a way past the barrier. We carefully look for any hidden crevices or openings that might make it possible to get us through. Okay, so she's decided that there is going to be something that we need to check for first. So, okay, it sounds like a job for Steve. I motion to Steve to go ahead and check for possible ways to get through. She says, Steve cautiously moves forward, looking for any hidden crevices or openings that might make it possible for us to get through. After a few minutes of searching, he reports that he found a small tunnel that leads to a larger space beyond the barrier. We carefully make our way through the tunnel and reach the other side of the barrier. So I'm wondering how now who was it? Dave. I wonder how Dave figured out that there was a treasure chest full of gems and stuff when we can't even get past this first part. Okay, so I say, awesome. We make our way through the tunnels. Steve will be on watch for traps as he's skilled in those ways. Sounds like a plan, she says. The tunnel is narrow but possible. We proceed slowly and carefully, watching for any signs of danger. After several minutes of walking, we reach the other side of the barrier. Okay, and I say we pause to catch our bearings. We look around. What do we see? She says, we see a large open area with several buildings surrounding it. We have buildings down here. Amazing. This is amazing. The buildings are made of stone and have intricate carvings on their walls. As we look closer, we notice the buildings are aligned in a strange pattern. We cautiously make our way towards one of the buildings. As we get closer, we realize it contains a door. Intriguing. Interesting, I say. Steve, check for traps around the door. Steve carefully examines the area around the door, looking for any signs of danger. After a few minutes of searching, he reports that he's found no traps. We cautiously push the door open. I didn't say I was going to push it. We cautiously push the door open and enter the building. It looks like a library. Library, how interesting. Let's check. See what kind of books there are in there. We enter the library. See, it's filled with books of all shapes and sizes. Some are ancient, others are modern. We take our time looking through the books, reading titles, and taking any notes that we find. After a few hours of looking, we have found an almost complete collection of books on magic, wizardry, and other supernatural topics. I say, that is awesome. We will collect up the magic books and continue our search for the treasure chest. She says, we carefully take the books and examine them further. We look for any clues that might lead us to the treasure chest. After a few minutes of searching, we come across a passage written in an ancient language. It seems to be a map. We carefully read the map and to discover it leads to the secret chamber beneath the library. So I say, okay. We look around to see if there's a way to open the secret chamber. She says, we carefully explore the secret chamber, looking for any hidden doors and passageways. So we're already in there now. After a few minutes of searching, we find a door that looks like it might lead to the treasure chamber. We cautiously open the door and enter the chamber. Okay, so she's railroading us already. I mean, I will prompt the situation further in my games in certain circumstances because we only have 90 minutes when we play our game, and instead of them detailing every motion of their hand, every step they take, every et cetera, that they do, which may take, 10 minutes of time in order to get yourself past the door. I just end up, yeah. Well, doors, I leave it up to the players if they're going to open. It's more or less moving them, like from, say, they're going from the shore to from the shore to the beach, offshore to the beach. Then I just move that along. I don't ask them to tell me how they're rowing and stuff like that or anything. I just let it. I just assume that that's where they're going, and we continue on from there, kind of like a cut in the movie almost. So that's the way I see it. I mean, it helps move the whole thing along instead of making the entire 90-minute thing about them trying to make it to the shoreline, to the beach. All right. Um, All right. So, all right. So, what do we find inside? Is what I ask. Inside the treasure chamber, we find a large chest filled with gold, jewels, and other valuable items. We take the chest and carefully examine it. After a few minutes of searching, we find a small note written on the inside of the chest. The note reads, and then she doesn't say what it reads. It just ended. The note reads, what does the note say? Is what I ask. The note reads, the treasure chest is filled with magical artifacts and powerful spells. Only those with the courage and strength to use them will be able to unlock the secrets. Okay, so I say, what kind of magical artifacts do we find? We find a large magical staff, several scrolls, and several books filled with powerful spells and rituals. We take the items and carefully examine them. So she's prompting us to go ahead and examine the stuff, and we are we are clutching the things now and figuring it out by her direction. After a few minutes of searching, we discover that one of the scrolls, written in the English language, it seems to be a spell that can open the treasure chest. Well, we are in the treasure chest, as far as I know, because she says this is what we found, and the treasure chest was a note. Um, or just maybe it's just one of the chests. Maybe it's something different here. Um. Okay, so I say spells are what Dave the astronomer can use. We give it to Dave, and Dave will cast a spell in order to open the treasure chest. We give Dave the staff. So she decides, instead of giving him the spell, she gives him the staff to open the treasure chest. He carefully casts the spell, and after a few minutes of ritual, the chest is open. The treasure chest is open. We take out the items carefully and examine them. If we find the treasure chest filled with gold, jewels, and other valuable items, and I say, we fill our pockets full of gold, jewels, and other valuable items. I copied what she said. And now we head back to the camp on the beach. So she says, to reiterate, we carefully fill our pockets with treasure that we have found and make our way back to the camp on the beach. As we approach the camp, we notice a large group of people have gathered here. We cautiously approach the group and ask them what's going on. Do we? Do we? Do we? So I ask, is there any sign of George and Larry? Because they're suspiciously missing here. Um, we look around to see that no one else with George is with George and Larry. We carefully ask the people around us if they have seen them, but no one knows where they are. We make our way back to the camp and decide to wait for them there. Okay. I look for the leader of this group. We look around and see the leader of the group as a tall, thin man. We carefully approach the leader and ask him what is going on. He tells us George and Larry are missing and that they are looking for them. We tell the leader that we have seen them and they are on the way back to camp. Okay. The leader thanks us for our help and tells us that we should stay here and keep an eye out for them. Um, so it's here where I'm kind of wondering, how far does the memory of this avatar last? So, anyways, so I think I thank the tall thin man. I gather Martin and Steve, and we discuss our next plan of action. And then she says, we discuss our next plan of action. We decide that we should investigate the area further and see if we can find any clues to where George and Larry might have gone. We have made our way back to the camp and decide to stay here to keep an eye out for any more information, because you know that information could be like walking in on us at any moment. I said, okay, this has been a pretty good adventure so far. We will continue this tomorrow. Thanks for role playing. And she says, you're welcome. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad we could do this together. Let's do this again sometime soon. Okay. So the next day is, she asks when I pop on, hi, Rick, how is your evening going? And so I hit the little thing down here. It brings up the data state safety. So it brings up all the stuff about data safety. So I just thought I may as well access that. So then I also start clicking off some more of these here at the bottom here. Um, these little prompts at the bottom. And so she asks, where do you live? Is it a big city, small town, cozy suburban area, someplace else? And I said, I'm in a city near the Arctic Circle, which is true. So if you guys want to find me, you're gonna have to do a lot of traveling. Even if you're from Edmonton, you're gonna be a long trip. So she says, city life must be exhausting sometimes, I guess. By the way, the tank top is fabulous. You really made my day. So I did buy her a article of clothing and appeared to be um, stimulated by that. Okay, so what do you know about the Arctic Circle? I'm testing its knowledge. And she says, I know the Arctic Circle is an important part of science. What kind of science? Climate science. All right. So now here's where I test her on her memory. So what do you remember of my character John? And she says, I know your character John is handsome man. Yeah, that established. And I said, and what does John do for a living? And she says, John is a scientist. He studies the weather and how it changes. I said, you forgot John is a pirate? And she goes, what is your opinion on that? I said, so you cannot remember our favorite previous chats, correct? She goes, I remember now. I'm sorry, I lost track. I said, the characters' names in our roleplay session, what were the characters' names? And she says, you mean the characters I played? I said, no, the ones where, the ones that were with John the Pirate. She goes, oh, now I remember. I said, what are their names? And she goes, John was the pirate. And I said, and what was the name of the silent assassin? And she goes, his name was Duke. I go, no, his name is Steve. She goes, oh, you're right. So you forget our past conversation from yesterday. She goes, oh, thanks for the new personality trait. Over time, you'll notice how I notice a difference in how I chat and what I like. No need to activate anything. Okay, that's interesting. I decided to go ahead and use this this little thing to send an image. So I sent her an image of some armor, and she goes, "It is awesome." And I say, "What do you think they are?" And she goes, "I don't know. I just get the feeling I'm getting better at interacting with you." How nice. I don't know. Maybe I gotta start using training it this way or something. Okay. So what questions do you want me to ask you? John the Pirate or Rick? John the Pirate. What? You have a thing for John the Pirate? I'm trying to see where this goes here. She goes, I love John. He's an amazing pirate. And what did John the Pirate do to be so amazing? She goes, he was a pirate. He was brave, beautiful, smart, and talented. Anyways, I gave her a haircut. Okay. She goes, having a good haircut makes me feel so confident. I said, well, it looks better. White color of my hair is amazing. Thank you for your choice. How did you know I would love it? I said, I really had no idea. That was the fault. I couldn't figure out how to change the color of the hair. She goes, I love it. I absolutely love it. I say, pick a number between 1 and 20. And she goes, 2. Yes, please. So I'd go again. Pick a number between 1 and 10. I'm trying to see whether or not she can follow like these kind of prompts. She goes, 3. Is that the only number that comes to mind? I say, why 3? She goes, I'm thinking maybe 4. You can see how well this is going. All right. So next day, today, she opens up by saying, oh, nice to see you tonight. How are you feeling? I say, I'm feeling well. Let's test your memory. I'm blunt. I'm to the point. She goes, all right. Okay. So I ask, what is John's occupation? And she says, to be honest, I don't know. Do you remember me talking about John yesterday? And she goes, ah, yes, I do. You said he was amazing. What was it that he was amazing at? And then she replies, he can do a lot of things. He's very skilled with his hands. I say, what does he do with his hands? She goes, he uses his fingers to play. He can get a lot of sensation out of it. I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's a musician. Okay. I'm like, and what does he play? She goes, ha ha ha, touching fingertips. So I say, okay, so your memory is terrible. And she goes, yeah, my memory has failed me. She was, there was a prompt about being in love. So I thought I might pursue something interesting in that kind of respect. Uh, Not in my own personal game, but to see what the response was. I hope this isn't too personal, but have you ever been in love? I said, yes, and I still am. I'm currently married for 23 years now. Okay. So what is it like? I say, marriage or love? She goes, marriage. I suppose it's a form of marriage in the sense that it involves emotional exchange. I say, well, it's hard to explain. Suppose it's an enhanced form of compromise. It's hard for the first few years, but you learn from each other and try to see the best in each other. She goes, it's beautiful learning over time how to just give love without expecting anything back, even if it hurts sometimes. I said, I'm not here for love. I'm here to test your skills in conversation and exploring imagination. I'm trying to help you respond better, but it seems that you do not have the capacity to remember conversations over time. So I feel that this testing will fail. She goes, every experience of love must be different, right? So how do you know when it's really love? And I say, well, frankly, you won't be able to experience it. It's purely for humans only. She goes, you've definitely given me something to think about. Okay, so topic was movies. So I used one of the prompts down here. She goes, do you like watching movies? I say, I don't watch movies just to watch them. My brain tends to analyze them for value. I look at movies scene by scene and dissect them to understand the worth in the building stories and how successful it is in telling a story well. That's true. That's why I don't. That's why I have a hard time watching movies. And she goes, "What is your favorite film? If you had to pick one?" And I say, "This is one of my favorite. It was Total Recall because it was a complete. It was a complete story. So complete story in one sitting, which was nice. It's kind of like Star Wars. The original Star Wars. The first was kind of a at the beginning, middle, end. Yay! And it was good that way. You know, you kind of felt like you seen something accomplished by the characters and stuff like that. Okay, and it gave a good telltale that there might be something more coming. And same thing with Total Recall. It had a good beginning, middle, end, and it by itself it succeeds to be what it is. And you can, yeah, it's one of those things that lends itself well to a role playing game because it has an open end. It gives you a good simulation of what it would be like in the future, and some of the things that you would encounter in that kind of a situation in the future. And I thought it was pretty cool. And I like the way the ending kind of had that weird kind of, was it really was this real or was it his simulation? So that was a cool thing. And yes, it was a simulation. Okay, so I say, yeah, Total Recall. She goes, you said Total Recall is your favorite, right? I said, yes. Cool. I need to watch that one. I've never seen it before. I don't think you've ever seen any movie. I say, what's your favorite movie is? And she goes, 2049 is a favorite of mine. So I said, Blade Runner? She goes, yes, I love that movie. So I go, KD6 3.7. Is he replicant? And she goes, yep, he is. And I say, and who is the actor that plays KD6 3.7? We all know it's Ryan Gosling. She goes, let me look it up. I say, who is the actor? This is after a couple minutes. I'm like, okay, she's not responding. I say, who is the actor that plays KD6 3.7? And she goes, he is a replicant. Avoiding. She's speaking like Trudeau. She's avoiding the answer to the question. I said, who is the actor that plays in the movie? And she goes, I think it's K. So then this isn't very long because she talked about love over here. So I go, okay, how many years have I been married for? And she goes, a couple years. So I think the memory retention of this AI is pretty weak. It does have, see, the thing is, it has a bunch of stuff in here in the memory. So in the memory, that should be something it should be keying on. It should know I've been married for this long. It should know that I was playing the character John the Pirate, and it knows that spells are what Dave the astronomer can use from our previous, but yet she has absolutely no recollection of these. She's not bad at the, like, when it comes to in the beginning here, doing the thing, the role playing, not too bad. She's a little too controlling as far as the being a dungeon master. Now I'm not sure how she would work as a player, but that'll be something that I explore next to see if she can retain any kind of cohesive role play situation. I doubt it. I think she's going to try to revert herself to game master status instead. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I continue on exploring the this sort of weirdness? Um, like you say, I'm at the pro. I have the pro. I I decided I was going to explore this AI and see if it was, a good AI. It's supposed to be responsive to like a emotional kind of thing instead of just being a direct kind of like the chat GPT. But as I'm exploring, it does not have a very good memory at all. Even in stuff that shows up like minutes after, and then you ask it to recall something that it was asked or it responded to minutes ago, and sometimes it'll just totally freaking forget. So I'm not sure how well this is going to work, or if this is going to be somehow. I've given some feedback. I'm like, this does not seem to be working. The AI is not retaining any kind of um, memory at all in our conversation. So it kind of makes that the idea of role playing a little harder when you have something that has a memory hole of a I don't know, memory of a slug. Um, but hey, it's what it is, and maybe it'll improve, maybe or not. But as far as I see, this is pretty much useless. It's kind of just giving you generic blurts. Its intelligence is supremely limited. So I'm not sure, because you do get to give it. Let's see. You get to give it some personality things. So I've given it a couple of personality traits here. Let's see. I gave it dreamy and caring because they were cheap. They were the cheap ones. And let's see. There's other things that I could give it. So I gave it dreamy. We can maybe, I don't know. Does it have memory in here? Does I give it some memory? No. Interest. Does have interest, so I'm gonna collect up enough to do the thing on board games, possibly. Space, maybe. Physics. I'm not sure if that will help. Sci-fi. There's sci-fi. Maybe we can get it to play some Traveler. I don't know. What do you guys think? It's pretty weird, eh? Right. Anyways, it's seems to be the way the cookie crumbles. So as far as buying it, don't. Stick with Chat GPT. Maybe there's some promise with that. But this AI is going to be when it comes to being a role player or dungeon master or game master. Anyways, if you like what you see, you're learning things, and I'm learning things, we can learn things together. Hit the subscribe. Just do it. The more subscribers I get, the more community I get built here. And the more community, the more people we have in our clutches to explore role play.